many people may say, this being a year where we are going into politics, maybe this should not be the opportunity for us. Now, I want to tell them, Kenya is bigger than any election. For far too long, we have made elections to look like it is a matter of life and death. It is not. Yes, it is important. And the reason why we have not achieved some of our targets is because we have made our plans not with the foresight of the future, not thinking about the next generation, but simply thinking about the next election.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is your Jomba Mwabili Mwagodi. As you have seen in the opening segment of the video, that was 12th August 2026, President Ruto was speaking at the Kenyatta International Convention Center for what is now being called the joint UDA-ODM meeting on Kenya Beyond Vision 2030. When you listen to President Ruto speaks there, and he speaks with a lot of conviction about the state of Kenya, its politics, its elections, its governance, you might think that President Ruto is an extremely brilliant mind. You might think that this is a president who cares for his people, and you might be fooled to believe that he has the best interests of the republic at hand. Rais wetu anaongelea kuhusu uchaguzi na anasema ya kwamba elections are not a matter of life or death. And if you are new in Kenya, for example, if you have never been to Kenya since September 2022, or let me say since August 2022, when Kenyans went to the polls and voted for President Ruto and elected him into office as the President of the Republic of Kenya, you might think that this is an extremely visionary leader. This is someone who looks into the future and has some of the best plans for the Republic of Kenya and for the people of the Republic of Kenya. President Ruto talks, like this is not a do-or-die affair. Elections in Kenya are not a do-or-die affair, and he completely refuses to subscribe to that idea. His actions, however, tell a different story. Since he became president, President Ruto has been campaigning since immediately he took over office in 2022. President Ruto, in fact, immediately after being sworn in as president, some of his biggest campaigns were being held in churches. Each and every Sunday, President Ruto was flying to a remote location in this republic every Sunday, holding things that were called joint denominational prayers, where he will gather different churches from a certain county and he will bring all these congregations together, where he would basically campaign for either his new punitive policies or he would campaign for re-election in August 2027. And this was just barely weeks after he took office. So this man who is telling us that elections are not a do-or-die affair, who has been constantly campaigning since he immediately took office, who has been pushing propaganda after propaganda with regards to his punitive policies, with regards to his punitive government, with regards to his oppressive and repressive and suppressive government, is the one who is standing up on 12th of August us a voice of reason. My viewers, I need to take you back just 2 days before the 12th of August. On the 10th of August 2026, while speaking at another joint UDA-ODM Leaders Summit, and this one was held in Lake Naivasha Resort, and I will tell you a story about Lake Naivasha Resort immediately after you watch this clip of President Ruto speaking to the leadership of UDA and ODM at their joint parliamentary group summit in Naivasha on 10th of August 2026. Watch.
The next election, we must win. By God's grace, we must win the next election. Inshallah, we must win the next election. Not for your sake, for the sake of Kenya. Because the alternative is difficult to fathom. You know? So we have no choice, friends. You know? As you sit here, you have no choice. Because the alternative, I shudder. Because
now, fellow Kenyans, that is President Ruto speaking to the leadership of UDA and ODM. And if you listen to him carefully, if you can rewind and go back to that clip and watch and listen carefully to President Ruto, this message that they have to win the August 2027 election sounds like a very grave threat to these leaders. What he is telling them, that look, we have an enemy, and that enemy is 55 million Kenyans. And these 55 million Kenyans are baying for blood. These 55 million Kenyans are seeking revenge against not just me, but us. And President Ruto is telling them that I am not alone. I am not going to suffer the consequences of losing the August 2027 election alone. Each and every one of you inside this building are my accomplices, and these 55 million Kenyans are coming after not just me, but you and all of us. So you must be prepared to do anything and everything in your power, as I do everything in my power to make sure that we do not lose the August 2027 elections. Guys, I am sure many of you, my viewers, I'm sure many of you have watched this clip, but I'm sure many of you have never thought exactly what it was. This was a highly veiled threat to his ODM and UDA friends. And when he says that by God we must win, inshallah we must win, those are not the words that were supposed to come out of his mouth. He had to control himself, because I am sure what he was going to say was something more sinister. I am sure he was going to tell them that, look, you guys, we must do everything, including the use of force, including violence, including stoking chaos and anarchy, to to win this election, we must explore all avenues of rigging this election. I am telling you, my viewers, watch his body language, listen to his voice very carefully. This is a very grave threat to 55 million Kenyans that I, President Ruto, I am not going to let go of this easy. I know you people have made your choice out there, but I am not letting go. When he talks about, I shudder to think of the alternative. He shudders to think of the alternative because the alternative means that he is going to pay for each and every crime that he has committed against the Republic of Kenya and the people of the Republic of Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Jomba Mwabili Mwagodi, and you know, on this channel, we say it like it is. That is exactly what is going on. This is one person, but two different people speaking at two different events. You will not even recognize the Ruto of 10th of August and the Ruto of 12th of August. It is his nature. He is duplicitous. President Ruto is duplicitous in nature. That is who he is. He says one thing and he does another thing on the exact same plane. That is exactly who he is. And ladies and gentlemen of Mwabili Mwagodi TV, I am telling you, we must brace ourselves, because for the next 12 months, we are going to see the true colors of President William Kipchirchir Samoei Arap Ruto. I'd mentioned something about Naivasha. As most of you know, I am a hospitality industry executive. I've been in the hospitality industry for over 15 years as an executive in senior leadership level. And the story behind Naivasha is that ever since Ruto took office in 2022, each and every of his big meetings, big conferences are always held in one location in Naivasha. And that is Lake Naivasha Resort, and that is where they were meeting on the 10th of August. And the question is, why does he take all his meetings and conferences and events to Lake Naivasha Resort? I do not have an answer to that, but what I know is that Naivasha is a big conference destination, and Lake Naivasha Resort operates under the umbrella organization called Superior Hotels. They have, I think, 7 properties. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Lake Naivasha Resort is under Superior Group, which has at least 7 properties in Naivasha alone. And what I am made to understand by my friends in the industry is that each and every meeting and conference and accommodation of the government of the Republic of Kenya, the government of Kenya, are held exclusively in properties that are associated with Superior Hotels. And guys, the other properties in around Naivasha, which were dependent on this same source market to survive, have started struggling because none of them get any business from the government of Kenya. I'm not going to make any allegations. I am not going to make any assumptions on behalf of you, my viewer. But ask yourself, why always Lake Naivasha Resort? Why always Superior Resorts? This is our President, William Ruto, who talks about opportunity for all. But the actions speak differently from his words. This is your Jomba Mwabili Mwagodi. Thank you very much, as usual, for joining me on this channel. Continue the conversation in the comments. If you are not subscribed, click on the subscribe button below or on the screen, either on your right or left. Just check, there's a subscribe option hapo juu. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana.